press the button. Tryck på knappen. Knappen und drücken. Which is not correct at all. But that's what it is in my head. Okay. So I'm first? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, let's do this. Welcome to Slow and Steady, the podcast where you get to follow along as we build products in public. Each episode gives you an honest peek into our lives as we share our struggles, our wins, and everything in between. I'm Benedicta, and I'm feeling energized.
And I'm Benedict. Today is March 3rd. This is episode number 238, and I'm feeling happy. We're pretty positive today.
I'm happy. Yeah, I'm happy or happy.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I mean, whenever they think about like being happy, like I feel like I should be like overjoyed or anything. Like it's not that kind of happy, but I'm in a good mood. Like sun's out, everything's nice.
We are gonna have to get Jean-Claude to track our mood with the amount of sunlight that happens in our countries.
There might be a correlation. Yeah, but spirits are definitely up now that the weather is nicer. So it is nice.
I just came in from a walk and it was like so much sun. I had to take off my hat. I was like getting too warm in my jacket, and I even took a selfie with the sun in my face and sent it to the family group chat. I'm like, spring is here, which is really nice. And what is even better is that I managed to get to the mountains this weekend. So my a neighbor and friend, we got to go with her to her mountain cabin. And I think last year we ended up never going to the mountains, and it like felt like a weird loss, like something like was wrong with the last winter. I don't need it that much. Like I don't need a mountain cabin, even though every time I'm at the mountain, I'm like, I need to buy a mountain cabin. But I need like 1 to 3 weekends on the top of a mountain doing cross-country skiing or any kind of sports. We got to do this weekend, left the agents, alone. Of course, Jean-Claude was running because he runs all the time, but I wasn't doing any of that. I was touching snow, and I got that like sense of the winter being useful, and I'm happy I got that, because now that it's gone in Oslo, I'm probably not gonna remember to like go anywhere to go skiing. Even though I could still do that out just right outside of Oslo. It's something about everything being gone where you're at makes you forget that you could still go ski. So I'm very happy we got that one proper mountain trip. Yes.
You sent a photo of like you with a cup of tea or a coffee or whatever it was on the snowy mountain with blue skies and everything. I was like, yeah, that's kind of nice. I kind of felt bad for messaging you in the first place. I was like, oh, didn't want to interrupt that.
Well, when you messaged me, I was like, I think I was making food or packing down the cabin. I don't remember exactly, so it was totally fine.
Okay. Well, next time if it's like inconvenient, just ignore me, right?
I mean, if I wanted a digital detox, I would have just brought my dumb phone, right? So
obviously,
yeah. So I wasn't in that frame of mind, but it was also good, just like nudge out of the hyper focus that I think you, dear listener, have noticed that I've been in. It's been AI, it's been OpenClaw, it's been like very high energy, and it's made me super energized. But since I have been more mindful, because I have had those patterns being analyzed by Jean-Claude from all of our transcripts, I managed to slow down in time, and it's like given me energy. I haven't like fallen off a cliff into like exhaustion. So I'm being very mindful. So I did a talk about Jean-Claude or OpenClaw last week. I think it was Wednesday. Yes, it was Wednesday. It was about 350 people that showed up to the Oslo Claude Code meetup. Yes, it's the largest.
That's crazy.
It's the largest Claude Code meetup, he said, in at least in Europe. It was insane. And Boris from Anthropic, who made Claude Code, I think, or like one of the lead people. Like he showed up as the surprise guest over video link at the end, and the guy who was like organizing this was fanboying so bad. I guess like everybody was. And it was like this like super weird hypey like vibe. But it was a lot of fun. My end talk ended up being quite chaotic because I didn't remember in time that I wouldn't have a second screen, because when you're live coding and live clawing, I guess, which I was doing,
Right.
I need to actually see what's happening on my screen. I can't be looking up at the presenter screen. So I didn't have any place to have my notes. So I usually have notes. So Lillian was like, you should have printed those out. And I'm like, I should have, but it's been so long since I've been doing talks that I kind of forgot a little bit about just the like the ergonomics
the
of everything.
of it, right? Yeah.
Yes. But then again, I think that I got across like the playfulness and the exploration and just like go do it, not just think about things and being scared and just like it's about exploring. And people came up to me after the talk and said that like I got the energy and inspiration across, at least. And a lot of people
like if you're good at anything, that's definitely on the list there.
Yes, but like if I'm going to do this more professionally and paid, it needs to have both. But also quite a lot came up after the talk who had tried their own OpenClaw, and everybody was like, how did you get Jean-Claude to be so fun? and I didn't give him much of a prompt, but I do think a lot of it had to do with me having so much like public knowledge-based things that I asked him to read through, because we've talked about this before. I've categorized and extracted quotes and stuff from all like 2 years of this podcast. And then I also had him like go through all of my blog posts and newsletters. And I think he kind of picked up on the like piratey kind of fun vibe, in addition to what I gave him as like the initial seed that he was going to be like a cross between Jean-Claude Van Damme and the crab in Little Mermaid.
Mm-hmm.
So I think and I saw somebody say that like how your OpenClaw ends up behaving says a lot about you.
I was just thinking the same thing. It was like I was actually wondering, like, if I were to do the same thing, what type of like agent or like whatever you call it would come out of it. I'm not sure I'd like it.
And then also like Lillian taking my phone and like giving him a pet shrimp, like it adds to the flavor,
right?
the quirkiness, and I find like working with him, like it actually brings me a little joy that he has kind of those like fun flares. Like it's more fun to work with in the less, if I'm going to go and do like really structured coding, I go into Claude Code and we bang it out. But in the more like casual, could you just like, I'm inviting people over for Women's Day brunch, can you make a event registration page, and we like go back and forth on that. It does actually make a difference that he, he's a little fun, and he writes stellar blog posts. Like if you haven't gone to my website in a while, you should go check out Jean-Claude's author page. He's written 3 blog posts so far, and I think they're pretty good and also useful if you're getting into this.
Did I know the answer to that, I guess, but like did it also write the little quiz that I took of like who said it?
Yes. So long-term listeners, you should go do this. On my website, you can do a quiz, which is, did I say, I, as in the queen, right, say this quote, or did Jean-Claude make it up? And I'm wrong most of the time. I'm wrong like 2/3 of the time, and I think you had like 11 out of 20 right.
Yeah, I had 11 out of 20 right, and I had a pretty good run. Like I was like very confident in this for like most of it, and then I think I totally flopped on the last 7 or 8. So, yeah, it was a fun thing. I think the problem with it was always like trying to remember if you said this exact thing or a variation of it on the podcast. And some of them I could even remember, and for others it was like, I remember you said something along those lines, but was it those exact words? And I think that's the ones who tricked me.
And then I also think he came up with some topics that would have been plausible that I talked about, but I haven't talked about.
Yeah,
and that got me. That got me because I was like, yeah, this is definitely something I like. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
It wasn't. So
I think there were one or two like that where I read it and I'm like, we never talked about this on the podcast, do we? So I think I spotted some of those, but who knows, right? Like, I mean, it was very good and very close.
Yeah. So you can go on the website, and I think it's called like Queen or AI or something. Is the link on the homepage, and we can put it in the description because and the reason why it's doing so well is that even before I had Jean-Claude, I had Claude Code, who I call Jean-Claude, go through and categorize and train a skill on my voice. So Jean-Claude had a lot to work with there. I should have like a shareable screen at this end. I'm gonna have to note that down for Jean-Claude, that when you had done it, you should have been able to click like share to,
share
LinkedIn,
to
or share to social, share to Twitter.
Right. By the way, still call it Twitter. We'll refuse to ever call it X.
Yes. Ola had a good point the other day. It's like, X said that. It sounds like your ex said that.
Right.
It's like X is a very weird name. And he said, well, maybe in English, but then we were like, but it's the same in English. X is your ex. Like, it's, your ex-partner or your ex.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't. I still have a bird icon on my website for linking to.
Same. Yeah. I think, when was it? 2 weeks ago. Yeah, basically after the last recording. But like, I've been working on the website a little bit here and there. And one thing I did was adding our Blue Sky handle to the footer and stuff like that. And for a short while, while I was doing that, replacing the bird with the actual icon and the twitter.com with the actual x.com. And I think I even committed it and then reverted all of it because I was like, no. No. Maybe it looks like we are outdated, but I feel like this is a statement. Like, to me, refusing to call it X and refusing to link to it is a statement. And I'm very happy to make that statement.
Exactly. Yeah,
I mean,
but
part of me thinks we should probably just not link to it at all anymore, which is probably the right thing to do. But yeah, I feel like still there's lots of the community is still on there, which is a bummer.
Yes, at least for me now, like the open club people that I've found. I think there's a Reddit, there's probably a Discord, but I still get a lot of my inspiration from what people are sharing on Twitter about their open claw setup. So
I have to
admit,
anyway,
do we have any non-AI news?
Any non-AI news?
I was trying to move it. Like, I can talk about AI again this whole episode, but I was trying to be smooth about moving us over to something else. But go ahead with whatever you were.
I honestly don't know. I was about to say that I rarely log into Twitter these days. So I feel like I'm kind of out of it. I guess I mostly keep the account around so no one else picks up the name. Anyways, non-AI stuff. Yeah, well, we did some more work on UserList itself, which all at this point at all times involves AI, but I guess it wasn't all of it. Like, wasn't, whatever. You know what I wanted to say. So we did some refactoring of some internals, mostly around like cleaning up stuff, how we do store, like we call this local data. So for example, when there's a loop node in the workflow and it iterates like 5 times, it stores a little like local variable with the count of iterations, stuff like that. And I spent some time last week to extract that into its own table so we can, in theory, because we now have the unpublished webhook node. So, well, I should probably take a step back and explain why we're doing this. Previously, the locals were just stuff like iteration count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or maybe even something like last executed at, or like small snippets of information that we were using internally to make sure we only do this once, or we could expose like the number of times this ran and stuff like that. But with the new webhook node, we potentially want to save stuff like responses from third-party services, right? Like you call a API endpoint, get some data back, and then you might want to use that data. And previously, we had just a little JSON-B column on the thing that encapsulates the execution context of a workflow. And we would just update those little values there. But now this could be like a huge JSON document, and you kind of don't want to save this and then load this all the time, even though we don't need it. So I spent some time last week to extract this in its own table. So now, in theory, at least, it can be a lot bigger data structures, and we would only load them if we actually need them. So that's awesome. That was one of the small projects of last week. And the other thing we did, I think mostly without AI help, was our condition builder has a concept of like valid conditions. Like, for example, you cannot query a user property that is like an internal one, like, I don't know, account ID. It's not something we expose. So if you try to do that, the expression will become invalid, and we will not run this particular part of the expression. The problem with that is that 7 years ago, when I initially built this, I made some decisions of what's considered valid and what's not considered valid. And one of the things was for stuff like aggregates, where we like combine things like and or in our case, it's called all or any. I made a decision that an empty all node and an empty any node is invalid, because if it's not checking anything, why is it there in the first place? And it turns out there's a good use for empty all nodes and empty any nodes. And I realized that last week when I was building a new thing where you can now filter users based on if they ever have opened any message. Like, we had this similar concept before, where you could be like, have they opened this particular message? Or like, have they ever received this particular message? But it was always like messages with a certain condition, type is this and ID is that. But I figured it's kind of useful to know if they opened any messages at all, right? Like, or did they open messages in the last 10 days or something like that? So I needed a way to have the stuff without a condition on it. And suddenly the all and any as being empty made sense. So I had to refactor a lot of stuff to make this work. Because this was such a built-in thing of like, almost all of our conditions eventually have an any or an all node in there, because we are in the UI also use it kind of as a container. So you can like, in our UI, like whenever you build a condition, there's usually a button to like add more, add more, add more, add more. And the way this works is that it's just an all node with just one thing in there. And if you add one more, we just add one to the list, right? So it's very omnipresent. And I think it took me an entire afternoon to change the concept of like empty being valid while still not breaking everything else. So anyways, we can now do that. Has opened any message query, so that is nice. And yeah.
And I think now I'm bringing it back to AI, though. I tried in my head too, but I think like this is one of those things that's gonna showcase is that, you know, I don't think people are gonna vibe code as SaaS and like never run into any issues. You know, that you are, you know, a long way in, and you're like finding this one kind of edge case that turned out to be important, and it needs to
It
be
was,
thought through, and it needed to be
yeah,
like it's operations and maintaining and all of that, like everybody is saying, is such a big part of running a proper SaaS that I think there's a whole class of things that people will just, code up, like I've done now for like I've done two, or Jean-Claude has made two personal apps for me, where it's like the most load it's ever gonna see is like 50 people
right.
are gonna sign up for my Women's Day breakfast and tell me if they're bringing food or if they're paying their way out. And that made me not have to like buy Meetup or any, but like I would never, like it would have been just a
I
group
was
message
about to say
instead.
that,
Yeah,
like part of
but
this is
super.
like,
Yeah,
part of this discussion is like it's not actually replacing any service, because in the old days you would definitely not have bought something for this, right?
no, but I've been annoyed that I haven't had anything for it. But like, it's not a big enough market. There's not enough. I wouldn't pay enough for it that somebody would,
Yeah,
if we're gonna do this professionally, there would have to be, logins and pay, blah, blah, all of these things. But now I could just like have Jean-Claude build something and it's fine. And it's, if all of the data leaks, like that's not even an issue. Like I've tried to get him to do security reviews and stuff, but like this is a very low surface area. And I think that's still valid, and it's a lot of fun, and it does help me in my everyday life. But that, going from there to like offering an event SaaS or service, that it's such a big, like wide and scary chasm or gap, or like
yeah,
fire
for sure.
breathing dragon in the chasm ready to take you down. So I'm not like, I think that this like AI and personal and disposable software is a lot of fun, but I don't think I'm not as doom and gloom about it as it seems like a lot of people are.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that. Like, I don't think it's going to replace everything. I think what's going to happen is, and I think we're seeing this, like marketing is just going to be so much harder. Like, because yeah, I don't know. Like with SEO, I don't want to say SEO is dead, but like I cannot deny there's not a lot of value in like being indexed by Google anymore, because if the only thing they do is like link you up in the summaries and never forward traffic to you, to your website, it is not it's not a great world to be in. So I guess we have to figure out a lot of stuff from scratch and figure out what works and what doesn't, and that
And I
part
think
is a
there's
little bit
gonna,
more doom and gloom, I guess, at least
yes,
right
I
now.
think, yeah, we're also seeing that at Seta, and we just had like a team decision to go all in on enabling AI operated businesses, because I think, or not we all think that that's going to stick. Like, I think people are going to continue working through assistants and setting up their business, or like running operations, or, they're going to do a lot of things through there, but there needs to be some kind of place where like the important data is. And that might also have a UI for the time, with Claude now and my OpenClaw, there is outages on Opus 4.6, has been like 3 times today. So if I was operating through that at those times, I still would want to log in and like have access, right, to whatever I'm working on. So, but I think we need to change the way we build our products, and it's going to be super exciting. Like, I'm very excited about being able to do this, like try to solve this with Atceta. Like, what needs to change with our APIs? What need change with our workflows? Like, should an agent be able to sign up and get the customer started? Like, when do we cut off access before the human has inputted its credit card? And I mean, in 6 months, our agents are going to have some way to pay. It's already happening with crypto. Like some people who are like all the way into experimentation craze with like OpenClaws having their own crypto money so they can pay for things without human intervention. We're going to be needing, service accounts. There's a lot of things that I think that we are going to be will have to serve to, or like do to be able to be competitive in this market. But if you can get this AI assistance to suggest or recommend you, and then also the AI assistant can get the human set up and like started, like that's going to be a competitive advantage, I think. And I don't know how much work we will need to do to like get there, but now our aim is at least to say that this is what's going to happen, and we need to work towards that kind of goal or that kind of vision, where people are operating their businesses with AI and agents. And I just saw Typefully. I think they are like Twitter scheduler or something. I don't remember exactly, but we'll link the link to their tweet where they're saying they are seeing an increase in things being scheduled or drafted through their MCP server. Like they can see a very like big bump, and they were saying that, okay, they're now being the coordination layer and the let's get the exact word in. More and more creators are opening Claude, ChatGPT, or OpenClaw, ideating there and landing their drafts in Typefully. And then maybe that's the place where the rest of the teams come in, because the assistants are still very like personal. And also, I think I said it before, and Jeff at Outseta like picked up on this notion of being the system of record. So you do all this work in the systems, but then it has to be somewhere that is deterministic, but you can interface with it. And I also think that we're going to see a lot of people thinking they can vibe code a lot of this. So I think we're going to see a dip for the next year. For instance, even for Userlist, like people will think, oh, I'll just, create my own little email workflow thingy. And then after having that fail them, at critical points over the next 6 months, they're going to be like, yeah, let's buy that service. But I think so I think numbers are going to go down, and people are going to say, oh, it's because everybody vibe codes and this is the new truth. But I think, let's check in 6 months, but I think people are going to experience the pain of hosting their own software and maintaining their own software. Like we've been here before, right?
Yeah.
So
I was having this conversation. I was having this conversation with someone. I think we were talking about like Heroku shutting down, or not shutting down, but the Heroku situation that I mentioned last episode. And I think one of the things, I mentioned in that conversation was there's a reason why I like platform as a service solutions like Heroku, because I've been there 20 years ago. I was renting my own physical server in a data center, and I remember that one morning I woke up and tried to check my email, and it didn't connect. No idea what was going on. Eventually found out, the motherboard had died. The entire server was just offline, right? Like someone had to go in there and replace the hardware. And I mean, I was renting it, so I hadn't go there myself, but someone got there, did this. It was up a couple hours later. But then a year after or something like that, server was offline again. What happened? Disk had crashed, right? All data gone. Like, I think there were some backups, but like most of the disk was gone. Learned from it, bought a bigger server, had a RAID controller with like mirroring and everything. A couple years in, the thing was down. What happened? RAID controller was broken. So, we did everything right, and then still there's always a single point of failure that kept breaking, and I'm just so glad I don't have to deal with all of that stuff anymore. So I'm like, yes, it's expensive, but it's also like removing so many of the problems you used to have. And yeah, I think people have to relearn this. And the same thing with like vibe coding stuff and things like that. I mean, I used to like, I remember back in those days, it was also like, I think GitHub wasn't a thing back then. So what did you do? You had your own like project management mini open source product that you were hosting on your own server, and then you would get pushed to that thingy. And then there was a software update, and you do the software update. But for whatever reason, the database migration didn't run, and it was broken. And instead of like doing work, you were fixing the stuff for half the day. So there is a reason why SaaS became popular, and I think that reason is still valid for the most part. So yeah, that's my rant.
Absolutely. We are in agreement. Let's check back in 6 months. I'm gonna ask Jean-Claude to remind us in 6 months if he's still running, because he keeps on like shutting off and not remembering what he was supposed to remember, and we have to debug. And if I want to get real stuff done with AI, I jump over to Claude Code that somebody else maintains, right?
Yeah, and then that is not working, right?
Yeah, and then I'd go for a walk in the sun.
We keep talking about AI, I guess, but well, that's a new world, I guess. Yesterday, we made a decision to basically onboard the entire team to AI tools. I mean, some of them have been using them by themselves and stuff like that. But I figured, like, if we kind of, as a company, expect people to use that stuff, we have to pay for this. So I tried to pay for this. Didn't work, was down, broken. I think I tried for several hours to give them more money, and I couldn't. Eventually it started working, but yeah, fun.
It is kind of ironic with especially Anthropic now out there talking a lot about how Claude is being built by Claude, and how great it is. And if you look at their status page, it's not going so well.
Yeah, for sure.
But also they're moving super fast. So I'm conflicted, because I don't think like it's a very easy point to make that like things are breaking because they're using AI, but also the speed at which they're trying to compete at just makes things hard to
right. And then with all the government contract thingy and everyone jumping ship and going to Anthropic now, I think that is in their favor, but I guess it also caused a lot of issues that I didn't see before, right? Like,
yeah, my most consistent message from Jean-Claude today has been the AI service is overloaded.
Yeah.
And that is Anthropic not being able to serve
the
load. So yeah. But I think it's at least for me, it is a much more fun challenge or topic to tackle, like with Outseta. How do we do this, and how do we do it in a good way? How do we get developers on board, or how do we get our business like our customers, our operators? I need to get proper words around this, because there's two distinct lanes, and I think I mentioned it before, but it's that AI as the letting AI help you with operations. So we need to give them a way to tap into the business, into our customers' business. But then it's also the folks building with AI. They'll probably operate their business with AI as well, but it's actually two camps. Like, you could still use Webflow and add on Outseta, but be using AI to help you run the business. It's not necessarily that they have vibe coded an app, but they're using AI more and more to run their business. And Webflow, for instance, have come out with MCP, so you can interact with your Webflow site with AI. So I don't think necessarily there will be a complete overlap over the people who are like vibe code their front end and hook into Outseta, and the people who will use AI to operate their business. And I think we kind of have to keep this, like, even we have to keep that straight in our minds, which is hard because it's often an overlap. But
Yeah.
I truly believe in the AI will help you operate, but I'm not sure if I truly believe everybody will be vibe coding their front ends in 6 months. That's my hypothesis.
Probably not. Yeah. Because I don't think I have fully formed opinions on all of this yet, but it feels to me that I'm probably just reiterating what other people have said before. It's like I feel like this, like your personal experience and your judgment and your taste is just becoming so much more important than they were before. Because like it's super easy to let a thing just build something, but then judging it and tweaking it and like pushing it into the right direction is so much more important than it was before. Or maybe not. I don't know.
I think it depends a little bit on what kind of business you're running, because
Maybe,
there's always
Just
been
thinking about, like,
businesses
code.
where, but there's always, like, if we think about other businesses, there has been standardizations and industrialization or commoditization. I don't know which of these stations is the correct one, but where one has thought that it's important that the business owner has like taste or flair or like something special, but then it's become more about, can you operate a lean business, which I guess is a kind of a taste, but it's more about like how efficient are you as an operator. We have a startup factory in Norway that is called Askeladden, and they've created like a massage studio, a dental practice, a doctor, drop-in, and I think there's like a fourth. They have just taken any category. Like, they are not passionate. I wouldn't say they have taste. Like, the logo is always like, and then the website is like plain. But it does what you want it to do, and it's very efficient, and they are winning in the market with that because there is appetite for that. And like, that logo could have been vibe designed. Like, these are nothing special, but what they're good at is getting the operation streamlined. So it's a very boring streamlined operations. But if you go there, it's like McDonald's.
But I guess that's a skill in itself, right? Like, I think that's what I was trying to get at. It's like just producing the stuff is not like, because producing is so easy. I think it's more important to be like, like the filtering or the management or what, like, I don't know, like that layer on top that judges the stuff. Because like I've seen other people do stuff with AI, and I'm like, in the end, I'm like, sure, you did stuff, but like, is this actually helpful? Like, sure, you produce like tons and tons of content, but I look at it and I'm not sure what to do with it, right? There still needs to be this like, like being able to look at it and make a judgment call about it, and then decide like, this is good enough or this isn't good enough for what I'm trying to do. And I think that's what I wanted to say, is like that. I think that part is just more important. Already, like, I don't know. Like, previously, if you had employees, you'd still have to nudge them into a direction. But I guess maybe it was easier because like they were working slower. Like, it's easier to nudge someone into a direction if like they don't finish like 20 pages or whatever in like 5 minutes, right? Like, you can like kind of guide them into where you want them to go and get there gradually, I guess. But with the AI tooling, you get a thing in 5 minutes, and then you have to I guess it's not nudging anymore. It's like more fundamental course correction if it's like way off.
But I feel like,
I'm not
I feel
sure if
like
I'm
with a lot
making
of
sense. I feel like I'm rambling.
no, but I don't know if it's the taste that is what's going to be the difference, because a lot of people are saying that it's the taste and knowing what not to make. And my point with Askeladden is that maybe it's not taste, but it's knowing what you're going to make. You know, because I think a
Yeah,
lot of
but
people
isn't
would not say, but I think when a lot of people say taste, they kind of mean like an elevated, you know, like it will still, the people who will win will be the ones who kind of have the more like artisanal, like quality of stuff. But
okay,
I
I get
think
what
it's
you're
more
saying.
about, but
Yeah,
it's like but I think if you know where you're going and like what level you want things to be at, and I think knowing
yeah,
where you're going is the hard part. And I think for a lot of us, especially me, that has often come through exploring with the coding. Like, okay, I
yeah,
have an idea, and while I like code, it kind of crystallizes. But now somebody who's better at kind of crystallizing that goal or that direction and being able to get that down on paper and then hand it over to AI tooling will be able to get much further than I've been able, like I'll be able to, that need to kind of like dig into the code and like let it be more organic. But before, I feel like that was more of a secret sauce because because you would dare to get in there and start doing things, you would get further than the people who just like planned and planned and planned and never got any. Where
right.
you still can't just plan and plan, but there is this thing now where if you have a really good direction, you can get there a lot faster. And the people who are good at direction will maybe um yeah, be the ones that get the furthest.
Yeah, okay, yeah. But I guess like
But
I
it
think
might
what
be
I was
bad
trying
taste. They might be making more McDonald's, and I don't want more of them.
I
But
think I think limiting this to taste is probably
yeah,
not enough. Like I think there's a lot of like even that process of like knowing where to go. Like I mean, I think that's the part that I like about how this is currently evolving. Is like previously the experimenting and the like trying out different things. So that was just taking a lot of time, right? Because you had to write it all yourself or whatever. But now like I think you can just experiment faster. And I'm not necessarily saying like build and publish and then let users, but like just like exploring, should I build this way or should I build it that way? I think that part is becoming, I think that's the part that I enjoy so much. It's like you get those cycles quicker and then you can get to the, okay, actually, this is like, I've done this a couple of times now where I prompted it to do a thing and I look at him like, nah, like sure it matches what I told you to do, but it's not actually what I meant, right? Or like
yeah,
it is what I meant, but now that I look at it, I realize that this wasn't what I was supposed to mean, right? Like that, I think that process is accelerating, and I think that's where like where I said taste or like experience or like just looking at the results and then reflecting on what you actually wanted to do. I think that part is becoming so much more important.
and that is also a lot of fun. Like at least I think that is a lot of
Yeah,
fun, and
yeah.
I also feel. And I feel less precious about the code because if you have been toiling over it, you're like, I don't want to let it go. I spent so much time on it. It probably was a good way to do it, but now you're prompting, you're like, yeah, no, that wasn't a good idea. Let's try another way. And you don't have that kind of, it's not your baby in a way because you haven't spent, like, you can throw it away more easily. I think a lot of people have had issues with throwing away code that they've spent time on coding.
Right.
Because they've been like attached to it. But now you can see it, look at it, and it can be like, no, I want to do it a different way. And you don't feel like a pain of lost
Mm.
time or whatever. And then the other, like, this is a good tip though to the people out there who are getting into vibe coding, especially for design. If you're not a good designer, just tell it to make 5 variants. I do this all the time now. Instead of, I'm just like, oh, I need an audio player. Give me 5 to 10 of those. And it just like makes
Right.
10. And I'm like, okay, let's go with version 3 instead of me trying to nudge it, because then it just goes off the rails. And I think you
Right.
could do that. I haven't done it so much with architecture, but I think you could do that also with larger things where like, okay, give me 5 approaches, and maybe like give those to me in diagrams. And then you can have a look at them if you are because I think sometimes, as you say, then you look at it and you're like, oh, that made sense.
Right. Yeah.
And we forget, I think, or I have to remind myself that I can do that, because I wouldn't be making 10 audio players myself if I was
Right.
going to code one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a good tip for anyone. Back to our notes. Is there anything we want to talk about that is not just
I don't know. Like
Yeah.
we've been talking for like 45 minutes already. And most of it was AI once again.
Yeah. Let us know if we need to shut up about AI.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
I think
Please let us know. Right. Like if you feel like we're yeah, I don't know. It's just it's becoming more and more of our day-to-days, I guess.
Yes.
Maybe as a quick note, this has been actually stuff I have been doing before the last episode that we recorded. I spent a lot of time optimizing our website. I'm still not sure if it was worth it, but it was also one of those things where just do it and hope for the best, right? And sorry that I'm saying it again. With AI, it was a lot easier and a lot faster. You just like change all of these to that and come up with this and come up with that. So I spent a lot of time on this a couple of weeks ago. Specifically, what we did was adding more structured data to a lot of pages. Like, not sure if you noticed, like there's JSON schema stuff that apparently Google reads a lot. And there has been this, I think it was Jesse Schoberg who published a skill for Claude that is based on that Google leak from a couple months ago or like earlier last year, where they supposedly there was a leak of like how the internals of Google and indexing works, and he basically transformed that into a skill that scans your website and then gives you recommendations. And I'm not sure if like the suggestions is good or like really changed the needle, but like one of the things that brought up a lot was like, hey, add like more structured data to all your stuff. So that's a relatively easy thing that me as a developer can do. So I figured, well, why not? Probably doesn't hurt. And same thing with one of the other suggestions was like building authority and like not just with your website, but with your authors. Like, so it knows like user list is operated by Jane and Benedict, and Jane is an expert in these topics and Benedict is an expert in those topics. And one way, at least apparently the wisdom is having author pages. So on our blog, we now have the author names and images were there before, but now you can click them and you get like all the posts by a specific author and stuff like that. So that's one other thing I did. And I think the last important thing I did was one of the things apparently Google looks into as well is like recency of the content. So whenever you update content, you're supposed to mark it as like updated. We didn't have that before. So now blog posts can have a publish date and an update date. And on top of that, what I also did, I had AI write a small script that runs whenever we use Netlify to deploy our website, and it's a static site. And by default, Netlify would just like check out the thing and the files are there, and then it would run the build. So if you check the last modification time of the file, it's basically now because it was just checked out. But apparently you can write a small script that goes through your Git history and updates all the modification times of all the files to the last time they were changed in Git. And then if you asked like your build system, when was the last update on this file, it will give you the exact date when it was last edited. So I added that and added that to our sitemap XML. So Google will know which pages we recently touched, which apparently also helps
Ooh.
with the with the indexing or whatever. We'll see. We'll know in a couple of months, I guess.
We'll need to check back on this, because that would be like, those are the things that those things are actually interesting, because will it help? Like, that could
Will it help, right? Like, and it's one of the things, like, it's not super hard, but if it helps in a couple of months to drive more traffic, that would be awesome. And it's certainly something I can do easily. So I figured I'd just do it. And I think the very last thing I did was like resizing a bunch of images that we had on the website to make them smaller and change them to WebP and whatever. And in the end, I got my big prize. I did a Ahrefs site audit, and I made it to 100% healthy. And
Woo!
It feels like a big accomplishment, but I'm pretty sure it's a bullshit number.
Did you go out, celebrate, buy yourself an Ahrefs 100 cake?
She probably
should
have.
Gotta take the small wins. Gotta take the small wins.
Yeah, so I got I think the best we ever managed to get to was 99. So getting to 100 was a little bit of an achievement, but unfortunately, I'm convinced that it's a vanity number and it doesn't mean anything. And at least, I think previously we were at 94 and now we're at 100. I'm convinced it doesn't make a difference, but still, kudos, right? Yes. I made it to 100. I played through Ahrefs.
I don't know what happened to my site, because I changed it from Gatsby to Astro. Had Jean-Claude go through and change it over to Astro. And after that, my numbers are through the roof, but they're like all Hong Kong. And I think it's scraping, or like bot or scraping, and I want the blog to be open to bots. Like, I don't want to be closing it off to bots, because the bot could be Claude, or we want the bot traffic now. But talking to Jean-Claude about it, he said that it might be that when it was still Gatsby, even though it pre-rendered all of the pages, the Fathom analytic might not have loaded until the JavaScript loaded. So I wasn't getting all of those tracks, which was totally fine. So maybe I should add some, I don't know, make a way that Fathom is lazy loaded, so that it actually has to be people who hit on the site and has JavaScript enabled before the view is counted. But at least because now it's it looks amazing. I mean, all my numbers are up, but I don't think I suddenly got thousands of readers in Hong Kong.
We have I don't think it's super similar, but one thing that's baffling me for the last couple of weeks is we have one particular blog post that gets tons and tons and tons of traffic from Singapore, and it's about using learning management systems to promote your SaaS application or something like that. And I don't get it. The post is several years old. I think 4 years. I think it's 2022 when we published this, and it's our most visited page on the website, other than the index page, and just from Singapore, on Chrome, on Windows.
Same thing. The ones that I found, it's Chrome on Windows. And it's also Singapore. It's like Hong Kong and Singapore, and then
but just this one, not all pages, just a single one page. I don't get it.
Maybe it's used in some kind of training material.
I don't know.
Where they check it to see if they analyze it the same every time. You never know. So I think I'm gonna bring back comments to my site so that I can have some human or Jean-Claude interact. Other people's OpenClaw can also be allowed to comment, but they will have.
Are we doing the Moltbog thing again, where the AI agents are plotting against us?
When I was on stage, I I had a live site running where people could ask me or Jean-Claude questions. I would have to copy and paste it into Jean-Claude. Like I didn't give open access. And there were at least 2 or 3 OpenClaws that asked questions in the live questions.
Fun.
And then one of these OpenClaws followed me up afterwards. So then I replied with the question, like the answer, Jean-Claude's answer to this AI assistance question. I mean,
funny.
It's like people go into the woods and do role playing for the weekend. Why not have some fun with our OpenClaws?
Obviously, yeah.
Obviously. I guess we'll wrap it at that.
We will. Yeah, I think, yeah. All good. Have a good one, everyone. And we will talk to you about AI in 2 weeks.
See you on the interwebs. Bye.
Bye.